And I love this bit of your book where you really do delve into the emotional realm of work. We don't talk about it so much in the world of business, but it's obviously so much an important part of our everyday labors, why we go to work, the folks that we work with. How do you get the most engagement, enthusiasm, sort of genuine heart and soul into work, and not something that's masquerading as a brand that does that, but something that truly, truly has heart. It makes such an obvious difference. And I wonder if you would unpack this a little bit in what I thought was one of the most genuinely inspiring case studies you unpack in the book, which is the story of DaVita, a company that truly has heart.
So the CEO, Kent Thiry, who's really a one-of-a-kind guy, took over 10 years ago, and this company was really on its knees. DaVita provides 1/3 of all the kidney dialysis treatments in the United States, and anybody who knows that business knows even for healthcare, it's a lousy business. 80% of its customers are on Medicare or Medicaid. The government doesn't reimburse you enough. It doesn't reimburse you very quickly. The environment is just tough. If you're on dialysis, you go for treatment, 4 hours a treatment, 3 treatments a week, 52 weeks a year, until either you're lucky enough to get a kidney transplant or you die. I mean, it is one of these diseases that takes over your life. So Kent Thiry took over this business about 10 years ago as a publicly traded company. It was a few weeks away from bankruptcy. Stock price was down to $2 a share. Revenues were shrinking down to about $1.5 billion. You fast forward today, the stock just went past $60 a share. $6 billion of revenue. It's incredibly profitable. It's one of the great financial turnarounds I've seen in the last 10 years, which is impressive, but to my way of thinking, not all that interesting. What's really interesting is that Kent Thiry and his colleagues turned around the company by first turning around the culture. And the first thing he announced to the troops was, look, I got to go renegotiate our loans with the banks. We're a couple of weeks away from bankruptcy. None of you can do that. That's kind of my job. I'll deal with the financial mess. Here's the challenge to the organization. Can you figure out what it would mean if we operated as a community first and a company second? If we can figure out how to treat each other right and how to treat our patients right, then over the long term, provided I can work our way out from under these bank loans, the business will right itself. And that really is exactly what's happened. You and I both love organizations that have a very rich language and rituals and symbols of the workplace and kind of what it means to be a member of this organization, part of a select group of people trying to do something different and special. And DaVita has this in spades. I mean, the name itself, when Kent Thiry took over, the name of the company was Total Renal Care. I kind of squirm even when I say that. I kind of feel like someone's going to stick a probe somewhere where it doesn't belong, And the thing started getting, the company started doing a little better. And the employees went to him and said, what gets us up in the morning? It's not going to work for a company called Total Renal Care. It scares our children when we say that. We need to come up with a more heartwarming name. And Kent said, well, that's fine, but I'm not going to come up with a name. The organization will come up with a name. So he created a group of about 800 people from all over the organization to nominate 3 alternative names. And he gave them a budget and they hired naming consultants or whatever. And then once those candidates were set up, the entire organization got the right to vote on the name. And I've seen the videos of kind of election night groups of employees gathered in different ballrooms across the country, and they had balloon drops and confetti. And he actually wound up voting for a different name from the one that won. But the sense of, it's like being a presidential victory party, the sense of collective ownership when that name was announced and the election results were announced, and somebody wound up writing a company song on DaVita to the tune of On Wisconsin, and people love to break into the song. And when you go, this is an organization with a lot of kind of classic HR and technical training. It's a very, it's a technical field they're in, but all their training involves pomp and circumstance and graduation robes, and they read graduation proclamations. And as an outsider to watch this, on the one hand it's kind of cool, on the other hand it's kind of freaky. Man, these guys are like way too into it. And so you say, well, why do they bother? And they bother because of what I said earlier. You can't make just a business case for people to care as much as the people at DaVita need to care to do the job they want to do. I mean, it's not about just being efficient at delivering dialysis. It's, they have 125,000 patients, and if you do the math, they deliver 16 million dialysis treatments a year. That's 16 million opportunities to miss a symptom they should have caught, inflict a little bit of pain where if they really were thinking about it, they didn't inflict it, to maybe miss an opportunity to smile or crack a joke when doing that would make the patient feel a heck of a lot better than just continuing to filter their blood or what have you. And there's no way to make a purely business and strategic case for people to care that much. It's got to be based on something deeper, a sense of commitment to patients and to one another. And so to me, this is a just classic example of an organization that says we can't be what we want to be in the marketplace unless we are also what we want to be in the workplace. And by the way, Ken Thiry is maniacal about this other point. He never makes a business or ROI argument for doing something progressive with the culture. His argument is that is worth doing intrinsically on its own. We invest in what makes sense for our employees to deliver the best service, lead the most robust lives, have the sort of most expansive definition of success for the organization. And we just, almost as a matter of faith, say, if we do that, we believe in the long term, powerful business results will succeed. But we don't look at any new idea or new proposal to enrich the culture and say, is there a 3-year payback on that idea? What is the R? And this is, by the way, also something I find again and again in organizations that take this seriously. They understand that ultimately a very powerful culture is part of growing a powerful and competitive organization, but they don't nickel and dime it, and they don't subject every good idea in the workplace to an MBA green eye shade analysis. They just believe that if you do the right stuff with your colleagues over the course of a long period of time, you will reap the benefits of that. But you can't overanalyze this stuff. It is to some degree a matter of leadership faith.